There are people who are almost retiring, and their 401ks have not even hit $100,000.
So
Believe it or not.
So
I think you know this better than most
I agree with you.
Yes.
1,000%. But the way I look at it, especially kids who are growing up in America, and the A is silent. When you're 22 in America, the last thing you're thinking about is retirement.
Correct.
True. Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the last thing I'm thinking about. Like, and I'll speak about myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, graduated college here. Last thing I was thinking about is retirement. Today, 20 years later, or 25 years later, now I'm like, oh my God, I should have done this.
Yeah.
But the 18-year-old daughter or the 18-year-old son is not hearing what you're saying.
So I have a formula. You know, like if you want your 21-year-old to hear what you're saying, and the formula is, don't start them telling when they're turning 20 or 21. You've already lost them. They're gone. Imeenda. Hiyo imeenda. Imeenda. Kabisa. Yeah.
Imeenda.
Yes.
Imeenda kabisa.
But then, if you start teaching them from an early age, and an early age is when they can speak. There's tactics you can use, you know, like on a 5-year-old. There's tactics on an 8-year-old. And there's a lot of resources nowadays online.
Let's look at things, right? When the economy is contracting, as you said, we reduce interest rates, so we need people to spend more money, right? So I will reduce your mortgage rates.
How does reducing interest rates make people spend more money?
The biggest one that actually, and that's a great question, the biggest one is short-term capital. So think about, like, when it comes to businesses, lines of credit.
Yes.
And a line of credit is like a credit card. Right, but somebody is controlling how you spend your money, right? You have to tell me what you're spending your money on and how you're going to spend it and how you're going to repay me back, right? Short-term capital, that's actually how economies grow, right? So right before Donald Trump decided with this tariff, Jerome, our guy, even though he's not black, Jerome was on his way.
So you're talking about the Fed chair, Jerome Powell.
The Fed chair, Jerome. Oh, sorry, I have to go. My apologies. So Jerome Powell was about to cut rates, right? Give us down so that he can boost the economy. The business owners. If I'm right now,
get money flowing.
Yeah, get money flowing, and interest rates right now at 7.5%. That's prime, right? Prime, I think, is at 7.5. So if I cut it down, your cost of living and your cost of product goes down, so then you can spend more. You can
buy more.
You can buy more.
Yeah.
Right? That's zero.
Okay.
Right? And then tariffs is everything that comes in from abroad. Right? Now the problem that becomes is tariffs and reducing interest rates don't work together.
Yeah.
Somebody has to win. Right? Somebody has to win. If both of them
you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
That's what you said. Correct.
You
cannot have that. So what does that do? So when it comes in inflation, when you have inflation, you increase taxes. So you can mitigate what's going to happen. And what is inflation? Eggs should not cost $8.99. It should be at $4.99. Inflation, right?
So now you have to eat fewer eggs.
Allegedly.
You now have to eat fewer eggs.
Correct.
And products that use eggs, like cake and many other, the prices go up.
They go up.
Yeah, so now you can no longer eat cake.
You can no longer
you
eat
have to
cake.
eat bread.
Allegedly.
And then
you can't even have bread because bread needs an egg.
Yes.
It needs an egg.
You can't.
Correct. So you can't even have it. So these are the issues.
And then Omosh can only just buy one egg.
Wow.
Right.
Not 3.
Yeah.
1.
And things, because I took notes on my little thing, and it's like, you know, so when you listen to DJT, he goes, I'm trying to help the economy. Well, small towns are the ones that are being impacted today. Small towns, small communities, right? Things where little things happen, manufacturing. My pen was probably manufactured somewhere in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Or China.
Let's go with Biloxi,
Okay,
Mississippi.
so Biloxi, Mississippi, sorry.
Right? But then that economy get hurt because now somebody can't do it, right? Small communities. And what does that mean? Let's put tariffs. So DC, let's put the market that we are in today.
Yeah.
Right. I live in the DMV area, right? You lay off 80,000 people, 10,000 in the DMV.
Yes.
That means that 10,000 people who ain't paying mortgages, that's 10,000 people who are not paying rent, that 10,000 people are not going to shop, that's 10,000 people, and
they're not buying lunch.
They're not buying lunch.
Yeah.
They're not buying drinks. So when you look the trickle down effect that like Ronald Reagan used to say, this is a different aspect. That's 10. That multiplier is extremely wide, right? I am not going to go to see Omosh because, man, the cost of gas just went from $3.19 to $5.99. Bruh, this party isn't that serious. And I'm just using it as an example. But, these are the economic impacts of these tariffs. And put things together. A t-shirt for your kid used to be $1.99, now it's $5.99. And it has Superman on the chest. Made in China.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So
right?
that's
now
or MAGA.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tennessee. But those are the economic impacts.
Okay. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are now coming to terms. One thing I appreciate that happens during Trump presidencies is that people are forced to go back to factory settings and read the law, read what these things mean, because I think people have been very comfortable, like with previous presidents, like with Obama or with Biden, you would find people nitpicking, like certain small things here and there they're doing, but now they're seeing the after effects of what you call very destructive leadership, because this has been a very short period of time. And they've just been blowing things apart, like day by day. And it's like there's something always they have every other day. And then I think there's a comment coming in from Skylar says, unfortunately, IULs are being pushed aggressively with a grow-rich like Ponzi scheme of if you get more people involved, you get promoted to different levels. Yes, that's another thing I did not want to mention. Any business where like the earnings is based on the number of people you recruit, it's called multi-level marketing.
It's pyramidal.
Yeah, then that in itself.
That reminds me of many companies.
No, I did not want to mention that, but I will blame Skylar. Skylar is the one who mentioned that. And then Patrick says, all in all, whether whole term life or IUL, the insurance companies will always look for a loophole for not reimbursing you if you die. Just drop whole life and UIL and take realistic term life. It's prudent to have insurance, but don't be very comfortable just because you have it. And then Esther Mulusa says, how do Africans spend more when they have no bargaining power because of economic occupation by big corporations? Why not show the connection between trade and microeconomics? Doesn't the rest of the world matter? The US can do all these good things because they buy cheap raw materials and sell the value-added products to the same poor countries that provide the raw materials. Now, onto what Esther is saying, I think, people also do not necessarily have an understanding of how much I can afford. This is how much I make, and this is what I can afford. I think people don't have an appreciation and a good understanding of that. It's kind of like, if I have the money, let me spend it. One piece of advice that I can give to especially people in their 20s who are maybe in college or just graduating college, one of the best things you can do for yourselves, if any of you is tuned, if any of you has a son, a daughter, or a nephew, a niece, or a sibling, they know, advise them not to leave their parents' home. That is one of, that is one of the best pieces of, do not leave your parents' home.
Okay.
Yes, and I know right now we are gonna think of ourselves when we were in our 20s, when you could rent a place for 300, 400.
Yeah.
That's not the case right now.
Yeah, you're starting at.
That's not the case right now.
1,500.
Because I have a niece, who is paying I think almost $2,000
Yes.
for a very small 1-bedroom apartment in Silver Spring. And I'm like, wow, and she's just getting started.
But
Gotcha.
they have a
Yeah.
concierge.
Yeah, and she's just getting started. So now, if you can take whatever you're making your first 5 years and aggressively invest, stay in your parents' home, aggressively start investing, like maybe let's say you have a first job, maybe they're paying you $80K. Live frugally, you're still living in your parents' home, aggressively save $60,000 every year. You will be in a very good position within a very short period of less than 10 years. You'll be in a very good position that you will not even imagine. You will be ahead of some people who are almost retiring. There are people who are almost retiring, and their 401ks have not even hit $100,000.
So
Believe it or not.
so
I think you know this
No,
better than most people.
I agree with you.
Yes.
1,000%. But the way I look at it, especially kids who are growing up in America, and the A is silent. When you're 22 in America, the last thing you're thinking about is retirement.
Correct.
True. Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the last thing I'm thinking about. Like, and I'll speak about myself. Graduated college here. Last thing I was thinking about is retirement. Today, 20 years later, or 25 years later, now I'm like, oh my God, I should have done this.
Yeah.
But the 18-year-old daughter or the 18-year-old son is not hearing what you're saying, right? And the hardest thing, because you've hit every point, that's what we should have done when we were 18 to 22.
But you know why they do not hear what you're saying? And this is experience that I've had, like within my own extended family, from the group that did not hear and a group that heard. So I have a formula, like if you want your 21-year-old to hear what you're saying. And the formula is, don't start them telling when they're turning 20 or 21. You've already lost them. They're gone. Imeenda. Hiyo imeenda. Imeenda. Kabisa. Yeah.
Imeenda.
Yes.
Imeenda kabisa.
But then, if you start teaching them from an early age, and an early age is when they can speak. There's tactics you can use, like on a 5-year-old. There's tactics on an 8-year-old, and there's a lot of resources nowadays online. Yeah, if you start from the beginning, if you start from there, then by that time, they will be the one who will be. They're the one who will be telling you.
Just log in and see.
No, please.
You
mute
remember the
Mika.
password, right?
Mute Mika.
Mika,
No, mute. Just mute him because we can't.
Okay,
yeah.
sawa, endelea.
Yeah, because it's getting destructive. So yeah. So what was I saying? When you start when you start after high school, that is too late. That's why they're not listening. Now, for those who for those who we've coached from an early age, they're the ones who are telling us that, oh, I picked this account, I picked Vanguard over Fidelity because of this. Yeah. So and you see with the people who came with parents here, they didn't know what they didn't know, but parents of today, they know this. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself as a 22-year-old, and even when you start telling your 22-year-old when they're 22 ati usitoke nyumbani, you're already late because they're already being influenced by Heather and Amber and Jake. They're already influencing them.
Wait, why they gotta be Heather and Amber?
And just random names, random names, yeah. And these are people who have trust funds. These are people who have generational wealth. Yeah. These are people who are encouraging them to move. Yet you're a first generation family where your family is still struggling, and now you want to do what Jake, Heather, and Amber are doing. You also have to give your kids the reality.
Very true.
This is our situation. We are not Jake, we are not Heather, and we are not Amber. Yeah, this is our situation. And if you start from a very early stage, they will understand. And even when they stay home, you make them have an understanding. You're only staying home, like if you promise that this money, if there's proof that this money is actually being invested, and you're not just, like blowing away this money.
And just to add on to what you're saying, so I remember my college friends, my white college friends.
Yes,
right?
Jake, Heather,
and Amber.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jake lived until he was 30 at home.
And Jason.
Yeah. Look at
Okay.
that. Look at
right?
that. Yeah.
But us, we
Yeah.
were kicked out at 22, 23.
If you're lucky.
If
at
you're
22,
lucky,
no,
you-
Were we
you,
kicked out or we chose to move out?
No, we got kicked out.
you are kicked. Oh, okay, Mika. There's different situations. I think
There's a difference because the
Maura
thing is this. Let's look at it this way. Also, our behavior is what made us get kicked out.
Tabia mbaya.
So
yes.
we decided to choose behaviors that will make us. We decided to act grown up, and that is why we're told
I'm not gonna validate that, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Because you can't go to your dad's home
But-
like anytime you want.
But they're
you know,
different
and that's
trains.
what
They're
they
different.
wanted.
You know, they're different trains. You see, like Maura was here with his parents,
Yeah.
and a lot of us didn't come here with our parents or not here with our parents. So it's
That's
like,
different,
So
yeah.
you basically you already out.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So you didn't have that that parental figure and all of that. But now
Yes.
our kids
100.
here have that, and this is our opportunity to shape it for them. And because we already see where this
And
path,
then-
where this path is going.
Correct. And you know what?
So,
in terms of what you were saying,
let me add on to something that Ali said. They had a thought process that and it was disappearing, right? The thing is this: most parents might not actually think it through, but it's cheaper for you if that kid stays in your house than it is cheaper if they moved out. Yes, they will get a job, they will pay rent, but you know, when they come back for you, it's to you to ask for help. It's not going to be for $500, $100,
Nope.
$200.
No.
It's going to be huge money,
Yeah.
right? They've decided to move out. Yes, you go visit them. You look at how they're living, and you're like, you don't have a couch. This is how you're living. All right, I'm gonna get you that couch.
Yep.
That's $5,000. Boom.
Yep.
Gone. Right.
Yep.
and also something that's very different, like growing up in America. Sorry to cut you off, Mika. Growing up in America and then growing up in Kenya. When I went to high school, even middle school, I came home every day. Versus when you're in Kenya, you go to boarding school,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? So there's a different
There's a
aspect
difference,
in
yeah.
how you look at things. And now
Were you in boarding in Kenya before you came to States?
Professor Son?
Were you in day school or
No,
boarding school?
day school.
Okay.